What was that toss? We were ready to flame Dracos for being slow to Worlds cooldown. I was going to welcome you to Worlds cooldown, say I'm Jat, joined by Frosk, and definitely not Dracos because it's just a chair. But he did mention that he's going to be over in a second. 3 to 2. He's so fast.
Wow.
He literally just
sprint?
ran in. He sprinted here, somehow didn't fall. He'll be here in a second, but all 5 games.
Yeah.
Much like Edward had last year with Gambit, as we mentioned.
Thank you, Dracos. We went the distance. While we are waiting for Dracos to get mic'd up so he can join us for cooldown, I do want to kind of open it up because we just came off like a really intense game. I know you and I were sitting there. We were watching that last fight. And I want to open up and say congratulations to Chachi. Chachi has been a guy who's been trying to get to Worlds for so long. And I know going through plans versus playing on group stage is a very different experience for most of our pro players when you talk to him here. They've said a couple times in the interviews. So I'm just so happy for Chachi on like an individual level. He didn't have the greatest playing stage. He hasn't had the strongest Worlds performance so far, but he got it. You get to do it, man. You get to play on group stage, so congratulations.
And I also think, believe me, this is a highly memeable series.
Yeah.
Last year when Gambit took Cloud9 to 5 games, highly memeable throughout the series, right? And I think the same thing is happening here, right? Like I was saying, you know, look at the bright side. Maybe if Splyce loses, then EU's group stage win percentage can be higher or something, right?
Yeah, just this thing where he says, okay, look at the bright side. And it's basically saying like, I know this sucks, but.
Yeah, always looking to make light of difficult situations. But in this case, I do want to take a moment as Dracos finally joins us.
Thanks, Dracos. Great toss.
Yeah.
So time to talk about the series, guys. I'm kidding. Where did we leave off?
I was talking about how it's a memeable series. However, I do think there's some undertones here where, like, UOL and Edward in particular, between 2 teams have been so close 2 times in a row now, and I feel like that should be commended. This is so close to breaking through to the World's group stage twice. Like that's heartbreaking in a sense. And also, I don't think it should be shameful for either Splyce or any other major region to go to 5 games against an emerging region in this sense, because that happened last year, and that team went to semifinals at Worlds. So yes, you can see that Splyce has things to improve on, but in terms of the bright side, I really do think it's better to lose now than later.
And speaking in terms of like trying to evaluate UOL's skill, I know on socials I called them the strongest of the emerging regions pretty early on.
You also called CBLOL the strongest of the emerging.
No, because I do, and I do stand by that. I think what we saw from CBLOL was really impressive. But I do think that UOL are a good team, and kind of alluding to what Jat is talking about is it's not shameful to be tested. Now, is this a good look when you're tested so early on before the quote-unquote, you know, like big boys show up at the world stage? I mean, yeah, obviously, real talk, you should be stressed if you're Splyce because there are very clear holes in your game plan right now in terms of your mid game. Your champion pool in the top lane was banned out virtually every single time, and your top laner got punished. Your setup was weak, and Northscaran and Humanoid very kind of volatile or coin flippy in the plays that they were picking. But as Jad is also saying, like, it's better to have it happen here, where now you get access to all these new scrims as the other teams start rolling in, and try to fix those problems for group stage.
I think the most that you can ask for from the critical fans, because I mean, it's still fair to be critical, as you mentioned, is just wait for groups. Like, see what happens. Because obviously, Cloud9, as you mentioned, was in a similar situation with Gambit in the past. Fantastic
G2
world.
also got tested, took down RNG that year.
UOL beat Splyce twice. UOL beat Clutch twice, right? Like they're actually pretty good, I think. And Clutch just 3-0'd their series yesterday, so.
Yeah, and it's actually cool to me how UOL balanced out some of the individual laning weaknesses. You saw Inax in the Heimerdinger games. That was very effective, something we've seen from G2 in the past. And the team is very clever. I like the strategies coming out. Karthus looked very good in the hands of Anonasik.
The issue, though, is the objective control. I think you pointed out when we were sitting over there, I think everyone in the game saw it. The amount of times that Barons are being stolen, that you lose access over Elder Drake. I mean, it's these small setup things, whether you're resetting to have tempo earlier on or you're making use of your priority. It was the fundamentals that really broke down and were the difference for Splyce versus UOL.
Absolutely. And then push comes to shove, you need a Rock in those games to carry you through for a full 5, and your Oppo player of the game will be none other than the Rock for Splyce, or player of the series, rather, Kabe. And I think fantastic performance from him, outclassed in terms of the bottom lane, and was so clutch in so many team fights.
plus 29.4 CSD at 15 in that series. And it felt like every game you were just looking down and saying like, all right, it's looking rough, but Kabe's got a lot of goals.
We still got Kabe.
Forms a CC. How are you going to get into this one, Kabe? And you're like, oh, I guess just like that.
I will say that last team fight, though, where he flew into the backline, I was like, that's an int.
I thought the game was over when he flew into the backline. But then the team carried through.
Yeah, with an Elder Drake.
With an Elder Drake.
So it wasn't my favorite Kabe play. Maybe the replay, maybe he saw something that I didn't. He's like, if I don't die and do all of this damage, we lose the team fight.
But if you win it, it's a highlight montage moment for the rest of your career. So I say worthwhile trade.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of?
No, don't say it. Say it.
Do you
actually know what he's going to say?
There's an interview ready, so you need to say what it reminds you of.
We'll come back. We'll come back to it.
It's a cliffhanger.
All right, there you go. Come back later for more on interesting stuff.
No,
but
it's
for
with
more
Chachi.
on Splyce's win, let's check in with Lore and visit Chachi. Don't tweet it, just wait for them to come.
Thanks, guys. Lore here, and joining me right now is Visit Chachi after the 5th and final game and victory from Splyce. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I feel like it should have been an easier series. Do you agree?
I definitely agree. It should have been easier. I think if we didn't mess up in the first match, because we definitely had our chances to win, it could have looked cleaner. But I'm just happy that we won.
Well, you're setting up my follow-up because I wanted to ask about game 1. What happened there?
I mean, we got a really good lead. I think our early game was very well played, but at our second match, I believe we took like a really bad fight, and after that they just outscared with the Kayle Kai'Sa, and after that we just decided to permaban this Kayle, and we don't want to see it ever again.
I mean, I saw you full strength this year in the LEC, and I feel like the Splyce I've been seeing lately is not like that. So what do you miss to go back to the top and the strength you have during the split?
I think we just need to clean up the fundamentals, because if someone watched the games, we saw that every time we got an Asher, we instantly got caught after, and that slowed down our game a lot. Even in this last game, I think we could have ended a lot faster. But since we always get caught after our first Asher, the game just gets delayed by 7 minutes because we can't siege without it.
The way I see it, I think play-in can be useful for some teams. And during the LEC finals, Perks jokingly said that play-in is OP in the sense that it allows you to warm up in a way and be ready for the group stage. Do you agree?
Yeah, maybe G2 should have gone for the third seed then if they wanted to do that. But I do agree. It definitely warms us up, and I think we're ready for groups.
How about Nuna? I know how important this series must have been for you because you used to play with UOL. I know you mentioned in an interview that you didn't want to face them. Happened eventually. I mean, it had to happen. So how was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to not look at what team I'm playing against, because I didn't want to be emotionally involved too much in the game, because I feel like I would have played more aggro or just not be so calculative. So in the game, I tried to calm down a lot more and just be more forceful on my calls, and that's how I handled the situation. But yeah, I didn't want to get them.
Wow, impressive. Now, looking at groups, what are your expectations?
Well, let's see first which group we get into, but both groups are really tough, so I guess we will be the underdogs, but we will try our best anyways.
Is there one group you'd rather be put in?
I think Group D.
Group D? Okay, well, we'll see that in a few minutes. Anyway, thank you again, Chachi, and good luck on group stage.
Thanks.
Now back to you guys.
So I want to go back to something that Chachi just said in that interview, which I think is actually really relevant to viewers who might not be as familiar with Splyce, which is the idea that they played better, or there was a better iteration of Splyce in regular split than what we're currently seeing with their recent form. And I actually agree with that quite heavily. I think for so long, Splyce was contesting Fnatic, like right on their heels, and then just something shifted, kind of either they got figured out, or I don't know, maybe some internal dynamic shifted within the team, but they suddenly just got sprinted away from where Fnatic and G2 just blew them out of the water, and they've been on this decline since. But there is that theoretical ceiling that we saw during summer split that I'm waiting for Splyce to get back to.
And I love that topic when you're talking about like peak performance for a team, because Splyce has not been at the peak performance we've seen from Splyce was at some point during that summer split. Definitely not in the playoffs, and not here. Will they hit that peak performance in group stage? I think is a question that Splyce has, as well as pretty much any other team heading into this World group stage, and it's what kind of makes this time of year so exciting.
Exactly, and there's not much left to say about that, but to find out our groups for Worlds 2019, let's head over to QuickShot in the arena.
The 2019 League of Legends World Championship play-in stage is now concluded. 12 teams started, 8 have been eliminated, and the remaining 4 will advance to the 2019 group stage. Those 4 teams will now be drafted into the respective groups where they will do battle here in Berlin's Verti Music Hall. The rules are simple. We will draw each team into the first available group, with the only caveat being that a team cannot be placed into a group with another team from their home league. To help me draw the teams that will complete our group stage, I would like to invite former world champion Bang to help me draw the teams. Thank you very much, Bang. Please do me the honors of drawing the first team. It is Splyce. Splyce will join Group B along with FPX, J-Team, and GAM. Please draw the next team, Bang. Dam1 Gaming. Dam1 joined Group D along with TL, AHQ, and Invictus Gaming. Please draw the next team, Bang. HKA. HKA are slotted into Group A along with G2, C9, and Griffin. Please draw the final team, Bang. Clutch Gaming. Clutch Gaming joined Group C along with SKT, Fnatic, and RNG. Thank you very much, Bang. This concludes the group draw show. We turn our attention to the 2019 World Group Stage, which begins October 12th. We'll see you then.
And for all the English viewers, we'll see you now. Dr. Jet and Dr. Frostkern are here to diagnose your problems if you're a North American fan, because that's a brutal group draw. On the other hand, LEC fans, you did it. You won the dream group. You got in there with J-Team. You just got to beat them and GAM.
I will say this, though. Stylistically, FPX and GAM versus Splyce, not a fun time.
Are you really happy about this?
This is like, the question is, who's better, Splyce or the VCS?
What possibly could we have gotten better?
Having the best European team have the easiest group.
I thought you meant just of the 4 teams that have been added, not as like the group stage holistically.
No, all of these groups are scary.
So let's throw in the names. That
This
people
is
love.
good.
What's the group of death? Give me the group of death.
wait.
Tell the people what they want.
This is good for J-Team, GAM, and Splyce. This is bad for literally everyone else.
Woo! JT,
especially
GAM,
NA.
Splyce.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a real world where Cloud9, Griffin, and G2 are kind of looking around, and HKA are like, I think we can get out of this group. You know what I mean? Like, that. I think Group A is actually much more volatile than people give it credit for, just because of the nature of the way that those teams play. And it's actually very possible that Cloud9 pops out of that group. We don't know how Griffin are going to look like on an international performance. I've seen how G2 look in certain best-of-1 series. So I'm very unsure about that question mark group.
We're going to have a lot to talk about on Dive 4 tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, promotional. Dive for you. We're recording it tomorrow. It will come out. It's going to feature me, Frosker, and Jat, and I believe Spawn as well.
It is definitely
Episodes
Spawn.
over the course
My
of
plugs are
Worlds.
way more subtle, but that's probably more effective.
Why not?
Yeah, but okay, literally here, this is what I really didn't want to have happen.
Damwon in your group?
That's true.
D is for Damwon, Jat.
So B, when I like power rank these Worlds teams before the World Championship,
You put Damwon 4th.
I was like, okay, we have the 3 LPL teams, the 3 LCK teams, the top 2 NA teams, and the top 2 EU teams are like the group contenders to make it out. And I thought those 10 teams were going to fight for 8 spots. But what's happened now is we have Group B, where I don't consider anyone below FunPlus to be a top 10 team, yet they're going to make it out of groups without beating another top 10 team. So
We lost a slot.
C, and D. 2 of these were going to be hard anyway. C is definitely the hardest, as has been well documented by the public already. But I think A, C, and D are just brutal. It's going to make it a very exciting group stage, but it's one that, on first glance, I don't think NA makes it out of.
That's yikes. That's a big. I mean, think about last year. Is obviously LEC. Like in the LEC, we talk. I mean, pretty much every opportunity. Hey guys, Fnatic made a world final. Don't know if you saw that one. But also like, Cloud9 were up there. You guys had a fantastic one. You knocked Vitality out in what should have already been a group of death. Do you don't think Cloud9 can do it again?
They can. They can. Cloud9 can do it again. TL can top the group. They can also finish 3rd.
So I think this is like, what am I going to call this segment? Positive Poly? This is what I'm going to
New
do.
segment. Positive
Okay.
Poly.
Yeah.
I have not heard this term before. You need to explain it to me.
Usually it's flaming Froskirin.
Froskirin.
Yeah.
So the poly is just for alliteration?
Yeah.
Who is this poly?
I'm Polly.
Okay.
It's like Polly Pocket, but no,
want
it's
a
fine.
cracker.
So Team Liquid, Jat, what you got to understand is that they 3-0'd Invictus Gaming at MSI, and Invictus Gaming's in their
3-1.
group. Invictus Gaming has never been weaker than they are right now. And then AHQ, no one knows what they do. I look at Reddit and they're like, I guess it's from the LMS, right? And then you got
LMS 2 and 3 were combined 0 and 12 last year in group stage. So
And then
I'm
you
not worried about HQ.
got Damwon,
Yeah.
and they dropped a game to the VCS 2nd seed. They were looking kind of shaky. So TL, they're
see what you're
definitely
saying.
popping off in that group.
We're gonna have to watch the games. Obviously, TL is gonna have to just buckle down and prove that they deserve to be there, because they do have to prove they are better than a top 8 team to be top 8, and that's true of anyone in Group C or A or D.
And I think it's just very difficult because it's always like there's a lot that's hard to calculate as you look at regional differences. And it also isn't helpful that neither of the LCS or LEC 3rd seeds are indicative, I think, of the other 2 teams present in the group, right? I think Clutch is wildly different than Cloud9, wildly different than Team Liquid, and Splyce is very different from both G2 and Fnatic. So it's not like I can really accurately gauge how the LEC style is going to pair up against a new patch, a bunch of new teams playing on it, and even if how much we can take from the play-ins meta that will actually be relevant in regular Worlds groups.
Yeah, I'm just going to give teasers to things that we're clearly going to dive into beforehand, because
Yes.
I've been holding off
Do
because
it.
this hasn't been relevant throughout the whole play-in stage. I feel like LPL and LCK are still the best. I think they are still the best regions. So
As long as we're sharing I feel statements, I feel scared that Yankos did that Twitch clip where he's like, we're getting smashed by Asian teams in scrims. I also feel scared that like Damwon and Invictus Gamer are both coming for TL. If any team is going to lose in best of ones of any European team, it's G2.
Can I bring back Positive Poly?
I feel appreciative of your honesty.
How do
Thank
you feel? Positive, Polly.
You need to win a best of 1. You need to win a best of 5 if you're going to be the best team in the world. Currently, G2 hold the international title from the MSI champions. They
Sure.
went through SKT in a best of 5 in that. They now have Griffin, who are shaky when pressure seems to be on for them, or at least inconsistent to what people expect of them. And then Cloud9 and Hong Kong Attitude. So I'm going to say that G2 will at least make it to best of 5. I think in best of 5, they show that even if they go the distance, they will hold strong, have the endurance. And I'm going to say G2 still in this list of LPL, LCK powerhouses.
Do you think they're the favorites?
For the tournament? Yeah.
The tournament.
I've said that I think. Yes, and like
I think
every
that's what
single
most
interview
people
that
have said.
asks
Okay,
me.
I just had maybe the people watching count cool down.
No, it's hard because I've had like 6 interviews today, and they're just like,
Yeah.
so who do you think's gonna win? You just have to sit there 6 times.
I said
think G2.
I said on this or
think
that
G2.
that it's SKT. I think that the non-controversial things, the 3 big favorites at Worlds, are SKT, G2, and FunPlus Phoenix.
I will say this: I do not think the gap is big enough between those 3 teams, because everyone I think we've talked to has those 3 teams as like the big highlights, and then we have like our dark horses. We were hyping up Damwon. That G2 just smash through this. You know, when I say like I expect G2 to win, that's not like G2 3-0 SKT. I expect it to be matchup dependent. I expect it to really go the distance, and I expect it to be performance on the day.
Yeah, you can abstain from this question. I'm just really excited. I've been waiting so long to talk about group stage.
We're gonna have a whole podcast. It's really
you can
good.
take G2, SKT. Sorry, you can pick one of the 3 favorites or the field to win the world championship.
I love this
The
question.
field is literally anyone else.
So so you're looking at Fnatic, RNG, IG, TL, Damwon, Griffin. I got a lot of good options here.
All in on the field.
You're all in on the field. I'm taking
Yeah.
top 3.
Well, if you don't get to get all 3 of them.
Oh,
you
I
have to
take
pick one of them.
I thought you said I got all 3. I think you said top 3 or the field.
And it's is it top 3 or the field?
I take top 3.
Okay, yeah, sure. I think that's probably right.
Yeah.
So it's basically like G2 or the. Okay.
Wait, are we betting something on this? I love bets.
No. I think make wildly.
I'll buy another prediction pineapple. We just had, in honor of the jungler Pineapple, who so
Anonymous.
heroically played Karthus.
I never got my
win.
pineapple from.
Yeah,
Requiem.
I'm close to the pineapple where I bought it last time. I did buy it
Don't
in
make
Berlin.
bets on the fly. We've learned this. Every time we launch a podcast or a post-game segment, we try to make a bet on the fly. It's
I'll get a
disaster.
different colored pineapple.
If we could, though, before we wrap out and close up the day, could I get final ridiculous over-the-top statements that I'm not going to give you time to justify that we can justify later on the podcast?
Oh, I love just getting flamed. NA's not making out of groups.
I said that at the start of the show.
Jack, no one actually watches the whole
Fine,
show.
but that is a controversial opinion. That's not the shared opinion of, I feel like.
Oh, it's
most
hyper
of the
controversial.
people. Yeah.
At me.
The next one is that I feel like EU teams are overhyped.
That's not controversial.
How is that not?
Stop calling each other's controversial statements not
That's
controversial.
definitely controversial.
Go, take a sec.
There's at least like
Camera.
There's going to be a thread
I
about.
read that on Reddit
I don't
every
want to
day.
see Jat on these
Today's
shows
action.
anymore. All he does is say controversial things about Europe.
Clickbait them, Jack. Clickbait them. If you missed any of today's action, be sure to stay tuned for our rebroadcast is starting in just a few minutes. And also be sure to tune in to League of Legends YouTube page in about 15 minutes for a special surprise. Yeah, that was all from us here in World's Plans. They said dramatic pause. I wasn't sure how long it had to be. Thank you. We're going to be back on Saturday for the start of groups. We'll see you then.
You didn't even flex.
Here comes Saya, looking for the engage. Perfect execution over 4. Could be there. He takes crash. He jumps forward. That's 2. Saya stepping up for Isurus Gaming. And so goes Saya as well. Bugax with a 4-man stun, but all he can do is pop the GAs. He tries to jump around. He'll get onto Kaiwing. Bugax able to survive, and there's a lantern to get him out alive. But now the Nexus target is the tie, and Bugax is down. And HKA on the second time of asking are making their way to World's Groups.
This is not an all-European best-of-5, not anymore. This is the LEC versus the LCL, and only one can be victorious.
Humanoid to the backside, eyes on the Akali, one shut down, but the Akali can't just clean up UOL. They'll just look like food to the rest of the team. Humanoid, can he go in? The ultimate is available, he wants to get one, he gets shut down in an instant! Humanoid has ult up. Arrow's gonna connect. Oh! For Humanoid, it's clean! The R flash, he's gonna connect it, they're gonna wipe the floor with him. Trying to turn, Boss does so much damage. Norscarin might die to the Baron. Now Chachi goes in, and Anonymous still waiting over the wall. 3K left on the health, they're not gonna get anything. Kave cutting through the team. Splyce now on a rampage as Humanoid jumps over the backside of the fight. Edward trying desperately to lock up Humanoid. Boss now goes in, wants to finish someone out, but Kave still has all. A double kill for him. Walking in 1v3. Oh no. It's locked up. Hello? No man's? Oh! That's huge! He gets second grass blade. Waiting out Xerxes' ultimate. Is gonna ult right back onto Norscarin. A little bit. Good playing with his food. How many members are going to drop? Xerxes needs to turn this one around. Humanoid goes golden at the perfect time. Now needs to escape. No man's so incredibly low. Eyes in the dark sphere. Where's it gonna go? The shutdown comes through, and that's it. Splyce have won the fight. Splyce show up. Splyce eliminate the Unicorns of Love and the LCL, and